It was a pretty interesting night in the NBA last night because both number one seeds played a game two on their home floor up 1-0, and both number one seeds lost. Boston lost in a blowout to Cleveland, and OKC lost in a pretty back and forth kind of tight game, but ultimately lost by 9 to Dallas. So both teams lost home court advantage. Both teams are tied at 1, heading to the other team's city for the next two games. And it makes you wonder, like, is there anything here to worry about for either team? Both teams, which one should be more worried? And it's admittedly a tough question to answer because I think evaluating the playoffs is tough because there's the stuff that's like, there's the surface level stuff of like, you know, like talent matchups and coach matchups and who has the better team and who has the strengths and weaknesses, like still like surface level, stat sheet level stuff. But then there's the game to game adjustments, there's the game to game outliers, and trying to figure out, okay, what's real, what's not, what's consistent, what's, reliable. And there's been a lot of that within these two games where you look at Cleveland versus Boston. Cleveland shot 13 of 28 on threes, 46%. Like, is that something they can sustain? I don't know. They definitely have the talent when you have like a Max Strus. Donovan Mitchell hit a bunch of those threes. Darius Garland was 4 or 5, so like he's been a big struggle for them. So if Darius Garland can keep it going, that would be a big plus for them. Karis LeVert had 21 points. That dude is so up and down. So like, who knows what you're going to get from him on a night-to-night basis. Tatum only had 25. Only, I say only, but like if you're a superstar, you should score more than 25, especially when your team really needs it. Shot 7 of 17 shooting. Like, it feels like a big Tatum game is coming. I don't think we've had like that signature big superstar caliber playoff game from Tatum yet. So maybe this is sort of what they need. So it's, again, like, it's confusing because what's real about this game and what wasn't. Is Jared Allen going to come back? Is Kristaps Porzingis going to come back? Was this the wake-up call Boston's needed in these playoffs where, I think the most prolific playoff game in franchise history from the Heat aside, they haven't really been tested yet because the Heat didn't have Jimmy Butler. And so you can make the argument that they've been sort of coasting, not trying their hardest, but maybe now they have to. So maybe like this all just becomes super irrelevant because they're going to flip the switch, Tatum's going to become awesome, and they're just going to dominate the rest of the way. I guess we're going to find out. Game 3 is Saturday night, same with Mavs Thunder. And speaking of Mavs Thunder, again, you want to talk about outliers, PJ Washington, 7 of 11 on threes, 29 points, also chipped in 11 rebounds, 4 assists. Kyrie had 9 points on 8 shots. That's not usually something he does. He doesn't usually even take just 8 shots. So what's that going to be like? But he also had 11 assists. So is that a role he's going to try and figure out more consistently moving forward? Or was it more of a, hey, PJ Washington's clearly got it going on. Tim Hardaway Jr. also had a good game. Let me focus more on playmaking. But is that going to work next game if those guys struggle and Kyrie's still trying to get them involved when really you just got to be like, Kyrie, we need you to do what you do best. Luka Doncic, 19 points on 6 of 19 shooting in game 1. Game 2, 29 points on 11 of 21 shooting. Much, much better. But, he's hurt. I think he's admitted that his knee is bothering him. I think it was said on the broadcast that, it's not getting worse, but it's not getting better. And it's not going to get better until he gets more rest, but that's not going to happen. So will it get worse? I don't know. And so it's all these factors from game to game that I wish I could tell you, like, yeah, I think this is going to keep going. This isn't, like, at the end of the day, we don't know. And we don't know what new things could come about. Like, maybe PJ Washington starts struggling, but maybe Derek Jones Jr. gets it going. There's really no way to know. But if you ask me which team should be more worried, which one seed should be more worried, I'd probably lean OKC, just because, again, it's the youth, it's the inexperience. I think Dallas has so much size, or length, I should say, and to still have Luka, I think even still when he's not as healthy as he could be, still capable of being the best player in the series. And I think we haven't seen the best from Kyrie Irving yet. Whereas Boston, I feel like Cleveland, I feel more confident in Boston being able to just sort of flip a switch, snap their fingers, and really start to get it going, even without Kristaps Porzingis, and even if Jared Allen returns for Cleveland, because in a way that sort of mucks up. We all talk about, like, this is the problem with Cleveland, is like they're kind of better with two of their best players are bigs, but they're usually better with only one of them on the floor. So maybe having that Jared Allen return would be bad for them. So I think Boston, is going to be in a better driver's seat, just because I don't know if Cleveland shoots that well from 3 as a team, especially in the third where they hit 7 of them, and it feels like there's another gear for Tatum to hit. Whereas I think OKC is just, they're throwing their best punches. But like, again, if you're Dallas, I don't know, it just feels the talent gap between Dallas and OKC feels closer than Cleveland versus Boston. And I feel like that matters a lot. And that doesn't factor in for all the randomness that's going to come from random guys in the series, but that's what makes me lean more towards OKC might be in trouble, and more so than Boston.